Did you know Call of Duty was actually inspired by the real-world events that happened between 1939 and 1945, commonly known as World War II? Yeah. Whether it's Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War, borrowing a scene directly out of Toy Story, it seems like there's always something that the Call of Duty campaign managed to borrow from movies that were iconic pieces of cinema. But one thing's definitely for sure, if you play through a Call of Duty campaign, you're likely going to run into some sort of homage or reference to a classic war movie, and you might not have even known it. And while at times it can seem like Call of Duty and Activision might have just ripped some of these scenes directly from the movie counterpart and just put them in a Call of Duty campaign, there's definitely some things we can appreciate with how in each Call of Duty game, the little subtle reference to a classic story that's been told through cinema, it's actually a really cool way to underline the significance of the original works and pay respect to the fantastic storytelling that was either rooted in real world historical events or inspired by it. Time after time again, Call of Duty has captured a lot of these moments and recreated them in a way that players can experience these iconic scenes firsthand. So today we're looking at the best movie references and homages from the historical Call of Duty campaigns. We have plans in the very near future to cover the movie homages and references found in the modern and futuristic games as well. So starting things off, going all the way to the first Call of Duty game, which you are playing as a Soviet soldier crossing the river, the opening cutscene to this level shares a ton of resemblance to the scene found in Enemy at the Gates, which released in 2001, just about 2 years before this game released.
No retreat! Kill them! Kill the deserter! Right up!
Also in the first Call of Duty game, there's a secret entrance found in a fireplace to a communications room, which is an homage to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but also there's something kind of cool that happens here as you push up with a Captain Foley, which may have inspired the character Sergeant Foley in Modern Warfare 2, and you go and save a prisoner of war, Captain Price, who actually is the same voice actor as Captain Price in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And then another reference coming from the movie Saving Private Ryan. In both the movie and the game, dead cows are used to take cover, and as it turns out, cows would be this recurring thing that popped up in some of the earlier Call of Duty games as a reference not only to this moment in the first Call of Duty, but also to a movie called Appointment with Venus, released in 1951, which was about a British rescue mission to save a cow that apparently had some prized pedigree or something like that, and they needed to keep the bloodline of this cow alive, and essentially this whole movie becomes a race against Germany to save this cow and exfil it. Matter of fact, in those older Call of Duty games, in the credits sequence, it even says no cows were harmed in the making of this game, and this may be an explanation why we see so many cows just randomly seem to pop up as some sort of aesthetic choice in some Call of Duty multiplayer maps. But if you play on Call of Duty United Offensive, there's even an Easter egg where there's this giant cow. So yeah, there's actually a little bit of significance behind this cow thing. But going back to Saving Private Ryan, in Call of Duty 2, there's an opening sequence that is very reminiscent to the opening sequence in Saving Private Ryan. The character you play as even has a moment where he is completely shell-shocked, just like in the movie. Call of Duty World at War, released in 2008, would also take a note from Saving Private Ryan with a very similar opening sequence in the level Little Resistance, and even though this one takes place in Japan, there's still a lot of visual homages to the movie. And World at War also did a couple little things as a nod to Saving Private Ryan, with having a character actually called Private Ryan in the first level, which you can save and get an achievement for. They've even done a couple other things along the way with some clever naming across all of the Call of Duty games, like Private Pile, which is a reference to the TV show Gomer Pyle. And then more recently, Call of Duty World War II had another cutscene that played out very much like the opening of Saving Private Ryan. And honestly, this movie did such a great job at capturing the raw horror and gruesomeness of D-Day during World War II that it's no surprise that when Call of Duty was trying to approach making these set pieces for the campaign, they looked to something that had been crafted very well, like Saving Private Ryan. Another really interesting thing that we found, though, is that Call of Duty 2's cast members of voice actors, yeah, a large portion of them actually starred in the television series Band of Brothers, which was a very popular World War II television series that aired in 2001. But when it comes to these really interesting homages that were used here, we feel like the best ones definitely come right out of the Black Ops series created by Treyarch. Starting things off in Call of Duty World at War, when you're on the level Vendetta and you're crawling inside the fountain with Reznov and you have to use the bodies for cover and it becomes this sniper level. This is such an iconic sequence when it comes to historical moments in Call of Duty, but this scene is taken pretty much directly out of Enemy at the Gates.
With your permission, Comrade Commissar.
Also, the campaign and the multiplayer have a level called Downfall, which is a reference to the 2004 movie. And at the very end of the last level of World at War was likely heavily inspired by the movie Fall of Berlin, which came out all the way back in 1949. But just the way that the set design looks and the way some things played out in the movie kind of confirmed that they probably drew a little bit of inspiration from this movie as well. I mean, the young soldier trying to put the flag up gets shot, the other main captain guy fights off the soldier. There's definitely a lot of parallels you could see. And actually, upon further research on this, we found out that this movie turned out to be this really interesting and slightly bizarre propaganda film from Soviet Russia. And matter of fact, this film ended up getting banned all over the place and has a really unique history in itself. Okay, then this next one's really cool, but since Call of Duty World at War was the first game to introduce zombies, and it turned out to be something added in later in development, most of those zombie maps that were first introduced in World at War were essentially reworked areas from the campaign or the multiplayer, mainly because of the short time to turn around these expansions. For instance, they reused areas from this airfield bunker, this asylum, and even the multiplayer level Nightfall. But one thing that's always made me very curious, and through interviews we've learned this, that for a fact there was another zombie map that was planned to be released in DLC sometime in the fall of 2009. This map would then end up getting scrapped since it would have released too closely to the release of Modern Warfare 2, and Activision didn't want that much of an overlap, so the DLC pack was cancelled, but that map would then be put in Call of Duty Black Ops as one of the debut zombie maps in the game. That's likely why that map still kept the World War II Germany aesthetic, even though most of Black Ops takes place decades later. But we do speculate that originally in World at War, that zombies map would have used this area from Downfall, as it's a pretty large area that never made its way into the multiplayer, but then over the course of the next year and a half or so, it was reworked into what we saw in Black Ops' release. However, back in 2009, right around the time that Treyarch was likely finalizing the World at War version of Kino, the movie Inglourious Basterds released in movie theaters, and we think with the delay, they decided to take some design inspirations from that movie theater scene and implement them into the version that we see in Call of Duty Black Ops. And besides the fact that this theater looks very similar to Kino, it turns out that the inspiration behind the whole entire level may actually come from the Central Park Theater in Chicago, which was pretty much completely abandoned until just earlier this year. Call of Duty Black Ops keeps up the streak though of having a ton of references to other works. For instance, the story with Mason being brainwashed to kill the president actually is likely drawn from a book and later movie, The Manchurian Candidate, which has to do with a soldier being brainwashed to assassinate a presidential candidate. During the escape from Vorkuta with Reznov, a ton of homages and visual references are likely being drawn from the film Last Castle, as this gulag escape thing looks a lot like some scenes in that movie. Also in the level, there's the epic motorcycle chase sequence, and you have a Winchester, and we feel like this was just, kind of a throwaway, very obvious and very fun reference to Terminator 2, especially the fact that both weapons are a Winchester. Then on the level SOG, there's a ton of references to the movie Apocalypse Now, such as the guy on the radio referring to himself as Army Specialist Zach Johnson, which is exactly what happens in the movie.
Psychedelic Music Show at AFVN. I'm Army Specialist Zach Johnson. Our APO here is 96309.
Good morning, Vietnam. I'm Army Specialist Zach Johnson on AFVN.
Later on, there's a segment where you're in a boat, much like the boat sequence in Apocalypse Now. And matter of fact, in the movie Apocalypse Now, the soldiers break a rule that is to never get out of a boat, and they almost get completely mangled by a tiger, which in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is how Russell Adler recalls getting his scars on his face. And then Adler's scars on his face could be a reference to another Vietnam movie, Platoon, who has a soldier with scars on his face. And matter of fact, Wood's appearance is taken directly from this movie as well. Then the sequence where Woods and Mason are forced to play Russian roulette is actually taken from the movie Deer Hunter, which stars Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken. Another reference the escape from Vorkuta might have that ties into a movie would be the 2003 movie In Hell, which both are set in a Russian prison and have American prisoners of war who start riots to try to escape. And then there's these Sergei-like characters who both die during the riot. Then moving forward to Call of Duty World War II, there's an interesting plot line that seems to be taken out of Band of Brothers, with the character Zussman being able to speak German, which is kind of like one of the characters from Band of Brothers, and the fact that they are at a camp at the end and the soldiers are shocked to see the true horrors of what had been going on that a lot of the population didn't even know about is a very similar tone to a sequence from Band of Brothers as well. Also in Call of Duty World War II, one of the set locations is the Bridge of Remagen. Now, of course, just ignoring the historical significance of this scene, the Bridge at Remagen is a movie that released in 1969 following the battle at this bridge, and it's likely that this set location was slightly inspired by this movie. This is also a location used in Call of Duty Finest Hour, so it is kind of cool to see that they revisited that with Call of Duty World War II, even if they thought that putting in flying trains or whatever that whole sequence was necessary for the plot. Now, of course, a lot of these moments are just some of our favorite and the ones that we think are the biggest and best moments throughout the historical Call of Duty games. There are a bunch of other small nods and homages, whether it's just character names. There's some other ones that are a little more rooted in, of course, the fictional stories, like the Easter eggs surrounding the Zombies universe, such as Call of the Dead and the cast members all being actors from popular TV shows or movies in the horror genre. Also, while this one's not as much as of a campaign one, the very, very popular multiplayer Nuketown actually had its design inspired after everyone's favorite Indiana Jones movie, you know, the 2008 one, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the one where Indy somehow escapes from the Nuketown in that movie through a refrigerator. Also, Nuketown is known for having the double rainbow, which is a reference to that viral video uploaded by Paul Vasquez, who actually unfortunately passed away earlier this year. Still, with all of the good vibes and positivity that he had and that he promoted through the years after the video went viral, it's cool to see things like this that were an icon to the time when that video was viral, making its way in a more permanent place like in the original Nuketown. In Black Ops 3, during the Zombies level that takes place in the 1940s Shadows of Evil, there's a lounge called the Ruby Rabbit Lounge, which is a reference to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where Jessica Rabbit dances in the movie. Also, this multiplayer Zombies level has a ton of references to H.P. Lovecraft and Lovecraftian horror. Also, another interesting tidbit, all the way back in Call of Duty World at War, the ray gun was first introduced in Zombies, but also campaign. And while the history of the ray gun is rooted in so many different sources, whether it's War of the Worlds from 1898 all the way through the sci-fi era of the 60s and 70s, but most notably, this gun most likely kind of was inspired by those earlier, more modern looks of blasters or ray guns represented in things like the Lost in Space TV series, Star Trek, or even Star Wars. Though it seems like over the years, the term ray gun has evolved and changed the meaning behind it. Still kind of cool to see how Call of Duty managed to make their own unique version of the ray gun, while also doing a subtle homage to the other types of ray guns that have existed long into the past. But hey, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys hit the like button down below and be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this. We sometimes try to do good videos.
And also make sure to follow us on Twitter at Rocket Elijah. You can follow him over here, and at Rocket Sloth Luke. You can follow me. So make sure you follow both of us there. And thanks for watching our videos. We'll see you next time.